Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Something Strange. Today I'd like to share some very strange things about our so-called moon. It has come to my attention in recent research that our moon may not have always been there. There are numerous ancient tribes that speak of and have artwork of our past depicting a moonless sky. In fact, there are texts from different sources portraying the same message. But that's odd. We were told as children that the moon was captured by the Earth's gravity after a large piece of rock had struck the Earth some billions of years ago. It seems that our moon may not be what we think it is, and there is strong evidence to suggest that it is something entirely different than a piece of Earth that flew off from a violent collision in our distant past. There's strong evidence to suggest that what we call the moon is an artificial construct, and the purpose that it truly serves may have more sinister reasons. Let's listen to some amazing accounts and details about something strange going on with our moon. Strange fact. On November of 1969, NASA intentionally crashed a lunar module that caused an impact equivalent to 1 ton of TNT on the moon. The shock waves built up and NASA scientists listened to what was happening on the moon. Strangely, after impact, NASA scientists said that the moon rang like a bell and the reverberation continued for 30 minutes. According to Ken Johnson, supervisor of the Data and Photo Control H, the moon not only rang like a bell but the whole moon wobbled in such a precise way that it was almost as though it had gigantic hydraulic damper struts inside it. Strange fact 2. The moon has elements it should not have. In the 1970s, Mikhail Vosin and Alexander Shcherbakov from the Soviet Academy of Science wrote an article called, "Is the Moon the Creation of Alien Intelligence?" It was a very interesting article that asked some important questions. How is it possible that the surface of the moon is so hard, and why does it contain minerals like titanium? Mysteriously, there are some lunar rocks that have been found to contain processed metals such as brass, mica and the elements of uranium-236 and neptunium-237 that have never been found to occur naturally. Yet there are traces of them on the moon. Uranium-236 is a radioactive nuclear waste which is found in spent nuclear and reprocessed uranium. More interestingly, neptunium-237 is a radioactive metallic element and a byproduct of nuclear reactors and the production of plutonium. You have to ask the question, what is happening on Earth's moon? From where do these elements and minerals come from? Strange fact. There are some lunar rocks that have been found to contain 10 times more titanium than titanium-rich rocks on planet Earth. Here on Earth, we use titanium in supersonic jets, deep-diving submarines and spacecraft. It's unexplainable. Dr. Harold Urey, Nobel Prize winner for chemistry, said he was terribly puzzled by the rocks astronauts found on the moon and their titanium content. The samples were unimaginable and mind-blowing since researchers could not account for the presence of titanium. Strange fact. The precision of the moon. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but by extraordinary coincidence, the sun is exactly 400 times further away as well. This results in a perfect solar eclipse, where the moon fits exactly over the sun. The fact that it fits so perfectly is rather suspicious. The chances of the size of the moon and the distance from the sun being so exactly perfect for a solar eclipse are extremely small. It is though someone measured the rock before sticking it in place to precisely correlate with one another at a given time. If the moon were back any further, or any more forward, this would not occur. What is keeping the moon in its nearly perfect position? The moon has a precise altitude, course and speed, allowing it to function properly in regards of planet Earth. Simply put, the moon should not be where it is currently. Everything points to the possibility that Earth's moon was in fact placed into its current orbit in the distant past. The moon's unnatural orbit and irregular composition raise hundreds of questions that neither NASA scientists, astronomers or geologists are able to answer today. Despite all efforts to understand Earth's quote-unquote natural satellite, the truth is that we have very little information about the moon's origin and purpose. The moon is quite baffling. and becomes more mysterious for those who study her. Just listen to these quotes. Erwin Shapiro, Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. The best possible explanation for the moon is observational error. The moon doesn't exist. The moon is bigger than it should be, apparently older than it should be, and much lighter in mass than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanations for its presence are fraught with difficulties, or none of them could be considered remotely watertight. Dr. S. Ross Taylor, geochemist of lunar chemical analysis, said the problem was that Maria plains the size of Texas had to be covered with melted rock containing fluid titanium. He said you would not expect titanium ever to be hot enough to do that, even on Earth, and no one has ever suggested that the moon was hotter than the Earth. What could distribute titanium in this way? Highly advanced technology developed and operated by entities that are immensely more technologically advanced than humans. Isaac Asimov, American author and professor of biochemistry at Boston University and science fiction writer. Asimov was one of the most prolific writers of all time. We cannot help but come to the conclusion that the moon by rights ought not to be there. The fact that it is one of the strokes of luck almost too good to accept. Small planets, such as Earth, with weak gravitational fields, might well lack satellites. In general then, when a planet does have satellites, those satellites are much smaller than the planet itself. Therefore, even if the Earth has a satellite, there would be every reason to suspect that at best it would be a tiny world, perhaps 30 miles in diameter. But that is not so. Earth not only has a satellite, but it is a giant satellite, 2,160 miles in diameter. How is it then that tiny Earth has one? Amazing. Strange? Very strange indeed. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Have a listen to Carl Wolf's interview from the Disclosure Project, talking about the incredible things he saw on the backside of the moon.
Wolf, and I was a precision electronics photographic repairman with a top secret crypto clearance in the United States Air Force. I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. In 1965, in mid-1965, I was loaned to the Lunar Orbiter Project at NASA on Langley Field. Dr. Colley was in charge of that project. They had problems with a piece of electronic equipment that was bottlenecking their production of photographs. I went to the facility, and when I walked into the facility, there were scientists from all over the world. I was stunned actually to see people at a NASA project from all over the world. It didn't make any sense to me initially. I was taken into the laboratory where the equipment was malfunctioning. I couldn't repair it in the dark. I asked to have it removed. A airman second class was in the dark room at that time. I was also an airman second class. I was interested in how the whole process functioned, how the data got from the lunar orbiter to the laboratory. I asked the young man if he described the process to me. He did. About 30 minutes into the process, he said to me, in a very distressed way, by the way, we've discovered a base on the backside of the moon. And then he proceeded to put photographs down in front of me, and clearly in these photographs were structures, mushroom-shaped buildings, spherical buildings, and towers. And at that point I was very concerned because I knew we were working in compartmentalized security. He had breached security, and I was actually frightened at that moment. And I did not question him any further. And a few moments later, someone did come into the room. I worked there for 3 more days, and I remember going home and naively thinking, I can't wait to hear about this on the evening news. And here it is, more than 30 years later, and I hope we hear about it tonight. And I will testify under oath before Congress.
It is believed that the moon's true purpose, or one of them, is keeping a sinister watch over Earth. It is also strongly believed that a soul harvesting, or soul trapping program is underway, set by a Rouge artificial intelligence that broke away from the original source code of creation, and is corrupting our system like a computer infected with a virus. Is our moon an observation post for a deceptive intelligence? Is the moon capturing souls and recycling them back to Earth to be a part of the energy farm once again? These and more questions will be explored in part 2 of this video. As always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel to check out more. Until next time, this has been Something Strange.